Let's talk more about this and other pressing health issues in the country with UPPGH professor and the chairman of the Emergency Medicine, Ted Herbosa. He is joining us live via Zoom. Welcome to The Big Story, Dr. Ted.
Hi, good evening, Robbie, and good evening, Gretchen, and thank you for having me here at The Big Story.
Dr. Herbosa, nakita nyo naman, we talked with DOH OIC Vergeire. A lot of praise, of course, and a lot of confidence, but it still begs the question, whether it's Vergeire or not, why an OIC? It's been 2 weeks, why don't we still have a permanent health secretary?
We will have to ask that question to the people that are choosing the selection committee, the president. Of course, I'm sure they feel that the position of Secretary of Health is an important one. I have known USEC Vergeire, Secretary Vergeire now, since I was an Undersecretary of Health of the department in 2010. And I've seen her work and come up the ranks, and she's a competent public health official, a career public health official. And I'm sure she'll be an able leader of the department as an officer in charge.
Okay, well, Dr. Then let me just ask this. From a governance standpoint, you've helped government, you understand the bureaucracy of the Department of Health. What's the difference? What are the limitations as well as the potentials of being an OIC of a department? And what is the gap that is still not going to be filled with an OIC relative to having a permanent health secretary?
That's a very good point. No, we have several stages. I've also been appointed as OIC when the former secretary would leave, and there are restrictions to what you can do as an officer in charge. So they're able to run the routine running of the department, making sure that the agency will be able to function. People get their salaries and the programs continues. That's very important for us now that we're still having some effects of the pandemic. So that's a very important part of this appointment. The other one is when you are appointed acting secretary. So the acting secretary has more powers. That means you now can appoint and reshuffle organization. As an OIC, you cannot reshuffle the agency positions and people are just status quo and the agency continues. And of course, a true appointment, you are the alter ego of the president when you are appointed as the Secretary of Health.
Hey, Doc, recent reports say from the Philippine Genome Center that the BA.5 subvariant is already the dominant COVID variant in the country. Given the more transmissible nature of that variant and the evasiveness of BA.5 from our current vaccines, does that change our strategy when it comes to approaching vaccination, being more aggressive with boosters, and are we ready really for face-to-face classes?
That's correct. No, the BA.5 is now the dominant Omicron subvariant in the Philippines and in the rest of the world. All other countries that have been reporting increase of cases have been reporting the BA.5 as a dominant variant. And you're right, yes, we will continue and push for what we call the booster dose. In the Philippines, we have 70.8 million Filipinos already with 2 doses, or the single dose, the J&J, who are considered fully vaccinated. However, only 15 million Filipinos or 20%, have gotten the first booster. So these are people that need to update. So we are at a backlog. They said the target should be about 40 million should have had their boosters by now. So we need to ramp up the 20% to as high as 50 or 70% of those that are eligible. And this is to protect them in case of these new infections. And as you said, rightfully, the BA.5 has what we call immune escape. Now, sometimes even if you're vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and you're not updated, the vaccines are not updated, you can still catch the Omicron subvariant.
Given all of that, I've been getting reports that now reinfection is a real concern. I have friends who have been infected by COVID twice, 3 times, 4 times. Do we have any metrics to measure reinfection? And does that change the ball game? Because now there's a term that's being floated around, which is the reinfection wave, and they're seeing that the BA.5 could possibly be that wave.
That's right. No, the reinfection is due to the mutations of several variants, because you have continued transmission, especially in places where they have no masking, they're not fully vaccinated. They have continued transmission and thus continued mutations of the virus. When the virus mutates to another form, that's the one that can reinfect you. So like, for example, if you just got COVID, then if there is a new variant that enters the country or predominates, you can still get reinfected with that new variant. So this is the one that is now making it, that's what you call the newer transmissions and the increase of this reinfections. That's why it's still very important. We still recommend masking, the mask mandate, and we still recommend updating the vaccines through your booster, because those are your two best protections. And for the schools, I think we are ready as long as we have a plan on what to do if the children in the schools get infected. So there must be a plan, like they said, that they will do blended learning or some form of other learning so that the classes can continue. But I think we've learned how to battle this virus. So I think it's time for our children to get back to school and have all the interactions and learn again after 2 years of no actual physical school.
Dr. Ted, we're almost out of time with you, pero isang mabilis na follow-up lang. Kanina, you were explaining the difference between an OIC, an acting secretary. Pagka-acting, baka pwede na mag-appoint and so on. So that brings it a level above maintaining the day-to-day operations that an OIC can take care of. And then a permanent appointment, as you said, is officially the alter ego of the president. You can start talking about strategy, even the whole philosophy of what public health and the Department of Health stands for. Other questions like Don, just some details. Can an OIC, for example, sign contracts? Can an OIC establish deals? And especially given that this OIC chip is only until July 31 for now, what can we hope for in terms of having an understanding of the strategy and the philosophy of this government when it comes to public health in general?
Of course, the OIC can sign contracts, can sign promulgations or administrative orders. They can sign this as long as it goes through the proper process. For example, a contract for a procurement must go through the Republic Act 9184, which is the procurement law. So if it went through that, it will be it can be signed. And also there are price limits of what even an OIC or a secretary can sign, because some contracts, if they are huge, will go up to the office of the president.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Dr. Ted Herbosa.